Meta has released 3 models, and let me start with what these models are. Well, the smallest model is the Scout model, and it's a total of 109 billion parameters with 17 billion active parameters and has 16 experts. It has about a 10 million token context window, which is great. Then we have the LLAMA 4 Maverick, which is a 400 billion parameter model that has about 17 billion active parameters with 128 experts. Then, there's probably the biggest model that we have seen yet, and that is the Behemoth model that has about 2 trillion parameters with about 288 billion active parameters and 16 experts. All of these models are mixture of experts, which basically means that similar vectors are grouped into one expert, which almost translates to the fact that each expert is mainly good at one section of tasks, like maths or coding. Now, I'm a bit disappointed with this because none of these models are locally usable. Because even if the active parameter is about 17 billion, you'll still need memory space that can keep the whole 109 billion parameters in your memory, which is not something that can be achieved on consumer-grade GPUs. The only thing is that it will be fast in inference due to it being a mixture of experts. Let's have a look at the benchmarks, and I actually am a bit disappointed with this as well. So, the Scout model, which is the smallest, achieves about the same ballpark performance of Gemma 3, which is almost 5 times lower in capacity than this. So, there's that. But, the Maverick model, which is the middle child, has about the same performance as 2.0 Flash and GPT-4o, while the Behemoth model is the best one and apparently beats 3.7 Sonnet in benchmarks, which is interesting to see nonetheless. The models are now also much more relaxed in terms of censorship, which is quite cool. And just so you know, Scout and Maverick are available for download on Hugging Face. The Behemoth model is just on the blog post, and it is not available for use or download anywhere, which is really bad. I thought that if you're putting it in the blog post, then at least release it, but they haven't, and it just remains text, which is very bad. There is no reasoning model yet, but it is confirmed that we'll get one soon along with an Omni version. Now, you can use these models on the Meta AI platform, but the model is also available on Grok, Together, Hyperbolic, and more places. If you're looking for a free, OpenRouter has both models for free, which you can go ahead and try out. So, I won't bother you with the whole testing one by one, and we'll just show you the results. But I do want to talk about the responses themselves. So, the first question was a pass for both the models. The second question was also a pass for both of them. However, the third question, which is generally not passed by most non-reasoning models, was easily passed by Maverick, while Scout struggled and didn't pass. So, I liked Maverick in this sense. Next was a fail for both of them, which is expected as that requires quite in-depth reasoning for it. So, this is fine. However, the next question, which is a pattern recognition question, was also a fail for both of them, which is interesting nonetheless. The next one was a very simple question, and this was a pass. And the next one after that was also a pass. The next one was a mathematical one, and this was also a pass for both of them. Then the next ones are coding questions, and the first one was related to making a button that explodes confetti, and it was a pass for both of them as well, which is great. However, the next ones are pretty bad. The playable synth keyboard was atrocious to look at and didn't even work, which is really sad to see considering that it's being compared to V3 and whatnot. So, this is bad. The next one was the butterfly SVG generation question, And it was also atrocious. I mean, a 400 billion parameter model making? This is not acceptable at all. Phi 414b, which is more than 20 times smaller than this, can generate better SVGs and stuff than this. So, this is really bad. Then the next one was the spinning hexagon problem, and guess what? It was also really bad. It didn't work, and the ball slid off the hexagon, and it was just bad. Then the game of life was fine for the Maverick model, but Scout didn't even work. So, this is the final chart, and I don't need to say much, but the model is pretty bad by today's standards, and even for this size. Even if this model was 32 billion parameters, then still I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know how they are able to produce such bad models these days. I mean, I have been seeing that LLAMA 4 was really bad, and that's why they were not launching it, and it seems that this is true. The only model that I am waiting for now is the reasoning and omni model. Especially for the omni model, I'm really excited. I won't be using these models, and I wouldn't recommend anyone to use it because it's atrociously bad by today's standards. Many people ask me to change these questions because how many models pass them these days, and still this model is not able to pass this, which is interesting nonetheless. Anyway, if you do wish to use it with something like Klein or RuCode, then you can just go ahead and get them upgraded accordingly, and then go ahead and in the settings, set the provider to Open Router or Grok or anything that you want to use, and just select the LLAMA 4 free endpoint. Now, you can go ahead and use it as much as you want. I won't be using it for coding because it's not great at all, and probably Flash and stuff are better than this, but it is open weights. So, it might be great to fine-tune it. However, I think that the base performance is not as good, at least in coding. So, maybe if it works fine for you, then you can go ahead and use it. I majorly do coding with the models, so I wouldn't recommend it for that. The 10 million context window seems to be amazing though. So, it can be great at document understanding and stuff, and it's also multimodal. Let me know what you guys think about this model, and if you really like this model or not in the comments. Overall, it's pretty cool.